Hi, hello. So this is the second video from the series about flying paragliders in Brazil. And the first one was about safety aspects of flying here. Now that we got through this, most important part actually, now we can focus a little bit more about, like moving around and the different takeoffs and the flight possibilities. And so the general picture is like this, that I've marked here the takes offs that most of them that I flew from. I was actually flying when I was in Brazil. I was flying on this line, um, but there are much more of them. They go further here a little bit to the southeast. There are some, and there is another line where all the takeoffs where you can fly actually kind of like a parallel. So there is much more to see here. I just choose this one. I have little experience flying here, so that's why I stick to the place that I know. Just to give you, this is just a very small part of the flying area around here and possibilities. And still, you have between this point and this, you have something around 2,200 kilometers. So it's basically like the Alps. If you would be crossing Alps, it's a very similar distance, kind of like. So there's enough space to play. And this movie will discuss transportation, takeoffs, moving between the takeoffs, and actually this, because I already mentioned and some aspects of flying, not those related to safety. This is all I discussed in the other video, but just like more about conditions and how would the flight like this, like here, typical one looks like. So let's start from the very beginning. So how you get there? There are international airports basically in Fortaleza, in Natal. There is one more in Recife, but Recife is a little bit farther to the south. So I haven't been here south from Tasima, so I don't know how it works here with the transportation. The big transportation hub in this area is Fortaleza. So basically, like the long haul buses, I mean the bus traveling long distances, they kind of like come all from Fortaleza, and they will go to Teresina, this direction, this main road. They will go to the south here, Quixada, and continue to Juazeiro do Norte. It's another place where you can actually fly paragliders. And then this is the main axis here, and the other is gonna go here to Natal. Basically, those are the main axis of the long haul buses. And now, so once you you land with your airplane, basically, you can take a taxi if you like, but maybe not necessary. You can just take a bus basically and go with your bus. Either if you go here to Tasima, then the bus is gonna go here to Tangara, and in Tangara you take the local bus to Pacifica, and then you can hitchhike basically pretty nicely to Tasima. So hitchhiking works really nicely in Brazil. People are extremely friendly, always nice, always helpful. Very often they are actually proactive, so they will reach out to you and offering you something or asking if they can help you. And so hitchhiking is not a problem at all. It works actually. Yeah, it's most like in Europe. The trick is just that not around here, because here actually this is area where you have enough cars. And also you can also hitchhike buses. Actually, they will also stop and take you on those smaller roads. They will also give you a ride. Not so much on the main road. We will discuss later. But on the small here, this works pretty nicely. But whenever you get a little bit more to the countryside, the roads will be unpaved. So these are paved roads here, but most of the roads in Brazil actually they are unpaved. and there are much less cars and much more motorcycles or mopeds, like like small motorcycles basically. And so the problem is that you will travel actually with your backpack on your back. Sometimes, most of the time, actually, you'll be able to rest the backpack on the motorcycle itself. In some cases, the motorcycles, they don't have this opportunity, so you have on your back. In any case, you make sure that your helmet is pretty nice, not just for flying, but also for motorcycle riding, because actually this is the most dangerous part of this adventure here. And the other part is that is pretty light, so that you can comfortably travel on those motorcycles with this backpack, with the paraglider in the backpack. So this is the Tasima. Tasima is the most crazy place. We'll get back to this, but now just a general view. Other place is Fortaleza, and from Fortaleza you might take a bus actually. I think I was hitchhiking actually, because I was hitchhiking from Patu. So I don't actually have never taken a bus kinda like here in the north, but I imagine you take bus from Fortaleza and it has to go somehow here through Asu, and then maybe Curais Nuevos is another big train bus station. So those are like Mosoro, Curais Nuevos, around here. Those are the big ones. Quixada is also a pretty big one. Point. But anyway, so you probably get to Curais Nuevos, and from Curais Nuevos to Tangara. So I imagine to Curais Nuevos you get from maybe even from Fortaleza or from Mosoro, and then you get to Curais Nuevos, and then to Pacifica again, if you wanna come here. Otherwise, the simplest, the closest place is Quixada from Fortaleza, and it's also a really nice place to fly, although not so nice as Tasima. but nice in other aspects. It's easier to get out of than from Quixada than from Tasima. But then it's easier to get out. But flying from Tasima is still kind of like, it's more impressive. It's different, but I would say my personal preference. So from Fortaleza you can get here, or you may also get to this edge here, this which is basically the easiest place to fly, kind of like, because here you just soar on the ridge. And actually, if you fly from here, and it's easy to go here because the wind is coming from this, so you could go against the wind. It's actually impossible or very difficult. So actually, the San Benito is easier. But the buses actually, they go from Sobral is another big hub. So the buses come from Fortaleza, Sobral, Changua is another big one. So they will go like this. It's very easy to access this place here, and not so much the other places, because here, to get here, actually you need to take a bus probably from Sobral to here. San Benito is the most beginner friendly place from all of those, although none of those places is really beginner friendly. But here you get you get flying like in a 20 kilometers wind on a nice day, 20, 25, 30, and but still with strong thermals. So this is the danger, that you get still quite a high level of turbulence, but less wind than other places, and it's a very beautiful place here, because you have here is all the desert, so dry, and this part is basically kind of like jungle. You can imagine the wind coming here, so the humidity stays on the mountain, and also it's up here is a bit higher, so it's less heat, less warm. it's another place. If you wanna get a little bit, if you got too much heat down there, then it's much more comfortable here because there's more shadow, more vegetation, like palm trees, and also less, like, due to this few hundred meters altitude difference, it's less warm or less hot, because warm is actually not the word here. So it's always very hot, as I mentioned in the previous video. So watch the previous video as the basis for this. Okay. So the high-level transportation are the buses that travel between the big cities, basically. Very comfortable. They are more comfortable than any bus I've ever seen. There are different levels, like there's like the first class, and there's no second class, I think. Well, there's a normal and first class and the super class, kind of like, and even normal is extremely comfortable, and they're also pretty cheap. If I remember correctly, the prices for all of those, actually, independent if this is the most comfortable long term or less comfortable local, if I remember correctly, 100 kilometers is something like 30 real, which is something like €5 or $5 more or less. So this is the price you pay. So this is high level. Whenever you are on the main road between the main hubs, you actually try to get the nearest city, Changhua, Sobral, nearest bigger city, and get the bus, because this is just the most comfortable way. So you may travel like this for 500 kilometers a day, no problem, very comfortable. And so it's a long haul. And actually from Fortaleza you get by the bus like this to Quixada here, and then you have to take like a taxi to get to the takeoff. So the taxi is the lowest level, hitchhiking and taxi is the lowest level of moving. You may drive by a car taxi. There are quite few of them, quite many, but there are actually much more moto taxis. So basically like motorcyclists that do taxi. They go places where a car wouldn't go sometimes. And so first thing, and second, they are much more ubiquitous actually. So even if you get, I mean, in Quixada you find both, but if you get some smaller places, then you actually just get moto taxi. And people in the small taxi, they are really nice and helpful. So the price for the moto taxi, it was something about, I think, it was something about 2 real per kilometer, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly. Taking into account that the driver has to come back and go and back. So yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like this. It was 2 real per kilometer. And and this is something where you can actually where you have to understand how expensive it is, because taking bus the price is fixed, but taking taxis this is a lot of negotiation. I mean, they will give you some. They can make you like crazy prices, really, like trying to rip you off 10 times more than they should take from you. So this happens very rarely, but sometimes this happens. So you should be aware of the price, and you should stay firm with the price. I mean, of course, you can tip them when you think that's appropriate, but in the using the taxis. It doesn't happen so often, but sometimes people just get crazy. So it's better. I mean, if you take it's better to ask. Sometimes it's better to ask the price before. This is probably the best way to deal with this, and then you can just negotiate, or if the price is just so crazy, then you can just give the proper price, and because they don't depend on the place, actually they're more or less the same everywhere. So just you can give them the proper price, and then maybe a little bit extra, because of course if you know it's still very cheap. But just be aware that there may be some people that will try to rip you off in the taxis. But then, if you know, let them know that you know what the prices are. They will be still happy that you pay the normal price. So there's no problem in this. And so this is the lowest level, hitchhiking, and and then the moto taxis and taxis. I mean, those moto taxis are 2 reals per kilometer, and the normal taxi depends how many people are in the taxi. So actually, I didn't took so many of the normal taxis, but the time I took, I was traveling with other guys, and the taxi driver is also moving to other place, so he charges us really, really cheaply. Most people are really friendly here, so yeah, they're not trying to rip you off, but sometimes just take into account. So, and in between, you have Topiki. Topiki is the local bus. So those buses, they actually travel on fixed roads between the cities. So the typical Topiki is the one traveling between Ipu and then Crateus. So between Ipu and Crateus, basically, you have like a Topiki that goes like Ipu, Ipueiras, then he goes through Nova Rusas, and then Crateus. So basically, those are things that you have to know. I'm planning to prepare like a more detailed guide so that you know where they go, because sometimes it's pretty crazy. Because for example, they go to Nova Rusas, no problem, but to get from Nova Rusas to Monseñor Tabosa, there are no buses. So some places are very well communicated. Here also on the top here, Changhua, Visosa de Seara, Changhua. Here this route there are nice Topiki. But some other places there are none. So it's something that they are not everywhere basically, but where they are going. There's a lot of them coming. They will stop everywhere. The big buses going between the cities. If they are on the main road, they basically don't stop for you. If there are somewhere around, so those really big buses going on the roads, they won't stop for you on the road. The buses going through, like smaller buses going through some smaller roads, like for example, there's one like there's Monseñor Tabosa. It starts from Monseñor Tabosa and it goes somewhere here to Fortaleza probably. So this one, for example, it will stop somewhere around here, from my experience, but it's not guaranteed. And the one who's going on the main roads, they won't. But the Topiki, the small buses, basically those are buses that have like maybe 20 people inside. They are all white and pretty characteristic. And then they stop everywhere. You can stop them everywhere, and they will let you out almost everywhere. And the big buses, they only stop in big cities. Basically, they won't stop for you some other place. So Topic is very flexible, but they only travel like locally. Yeah? So it's between Ipu and Crateus. This is like 100 kilometers, I think. This road here, around 100 kilometers. So it's pretty local. So you have this. So again, hitchhiking, moto taxi, normal taxi. Then you have like the Topiki, and then the next level is this intercity buses that go actually. Some may go really far. So they go for example, from Fortaleza to Brasilia. This is like a 2-day trip, kind of like. Yeah, so this is the buses are really comfortable. So this is around the traveling. So now maybe that you know the general elements about traveling. Well, I just have to tell you that the big cities, like because I said you coming by plane to Fortaleza, Natal. So actually, I was walking here quite a lot, and then visiting a little bit, but it's dangerous. So those are the most dangerous cities actually in the world, like in the top 10. Fortaleza, at least. I'm not sure about Natal, but probably too. So the big cities in Brazil, I felt safe there, and people were really nice and helpful. but the statistics tells that those are most dangerous. So you have to be aware of this. I haven't seen nothing dangerous, but the reality, the statistics, they don't lie. So yeah, so you have to take this into account. And maybe it makes sense to take a taxi instead of going for a bus. Although I took buses around there. Also, in those cities you have nice buses. Using Google Maps is very helpful regarding those. They are all in Google Maps. So you actually, if you put, from there the target place and you put it in Google Maps, it's pretty accurate regarding the lines, and so this works really nicely. So this is in the cities. Yeah. So this is the basic communication. And as I mentioned, the roads are mostly unpaved. So you go if you go by if you land somewhere, basically what you do a lot of hitchhiking on small motorcycles on a very shitty and dangerous roads, basically. And those motorcycles, they are also old, and you will overweight them because you're traveling with a heavy paraglider. So yeah, it has happened to me that we were traveling like 100 per hour actually, but this was on a paved road and the rear tire just exploded. So yeah, and shit happens. So just that you know, the traveling is basically the most dangerous part. And oh, I forgot the most other option actually, that the most comfortable option of all of those options is what people do when they come with groups. Even if they don't go for the winch tow, but they really start from the mountain. See the other episode that where I discussed this basically, because there's two ways of flying in Brazil. The most common nowadays is you go with organized tour basically, and you winch tow, and you had someone to pick you up wherever you land and bring you back to the takeoff. And the other that was very often done before, but not so much now, is that you actually take off from some place, from the mountain, normal takeoff, and then you fly somewhere, and then someone is gonna come and pick you up. And this coming and picking you up, this is typically organized the way that, well, either it's an organized thing, but the organized thing now they only do basically like winch tows. So if you wanna do it from the mountain, basically you have to take care of this on your own. So basically, how it works is that you need to rent a car and find a driver basically. So you need to know someone in the country who knows some reasonable drivers, and there are clubs, flying clubs, in so already place where you can ask about this, and then you rent a car and the other guy is driving your car, and he's then supposed to follow you because you have like a GPS tracker, so follow you, and then bring you back. And in some cases, it works like a charm if you have some nice people driving these cars, experience, and just reasonable. And in some cases, it's a nightmare basically, because if you have like a, let's call it, stupid driver, uh, then there are basically two risks. The one risk is that the guy is, so you fly somewhere, you land somewhere, and the guy just took your car and he goes. God only knows what he's doing with your car. Actually, no one knows this. And then when you need him, you just wait, and then until he comes to pick you up, it just takes ages actually, and sometimes you don't even make it. Even if you land like 100 kilometers away from the takeoff place, you won't make it back until the midnight basically. And don't ask me how I know. Actually, I've experienced this. So if you have a stupid driver, this is gonna be a bad experience. And the other element of this is that the roads are very low quality, because basically you drive a lot of off-road, I mean off-paved roads, on unpaved roads. So if you have a stupid driver, basically he will damage the car. And since the person who rented the car is you, then you are in another big trouble because you have to repair the car and pay for the repair. and yeah, because the driver is dirt poor, and he basically is stupid, so he doesn't really care about you and your car. He's, from what I've seen, just leave you alone with the car, with the broken car, basically. So so this is the most comfortable way of doing this. You rent a car, you have a driver, and then the driver is gonna follow you and pick you up, but you have to really find a reasonable driver. So the best thing is to ask guys who already had the driver, who were there, had a driver, and who can recommend him. Because otherwise, in my opinion, if you just take a driver by chance and you have bad luck, it's much worse than if you just go by hitchhiking, from what I've seen, and by buses and stuff like this. Because if you land, I mean, also how effective this traveling by buses and hitchhiking is depends on how you fly. Because if you fly taking the account coming back, and you try to stay next to main roads, and you know where the big buses are coming, so even if you do like 300 kilometers flight, you may get back those 300 kilometers very quickly and comfortably. Like if you know that you have to get to the Teresina, for example, or Piripiri is the place where the big buses stop, and not São João de la Frontera, for example, because here they don't stop. So if you are aware where the big stops for the buses are and where they don't, so that you can quickly get to the big bus, and then you travel 300 kilometers very quickly, comfortably, back to the takeoff, then then it's a charm. Actually, you don't need a rented car with the driver. But if you land somewhere where I landed, somewhere here in the fucking jungle, then there are no buses, there is nothing. Then you need 1 day actually to get back to the place where you can get a bus, and then and then another day to get back. So you lose 1 day basically if you landed in bad place. But anyway, if you still have the driver, I mean, if you have a stupid driver, then as I said, even if you do 100 kilometer flight, you might lose the next day because he will pick you up so late. If you have a clever driver, 100 is not going to be a problem. But if you land 300 kilometers away, and if there are a few of you, and so basically typically you share the car and the driver, so the driver has to pick up few people on the way and then pick you up, so after 300 kilometers flight you still have big chance that you won't make it early enough back so that you can take off on the next day at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. Basically you have to be ready to take off. So this is another aspect of traveling here. But if you have a good driver, then for sure this is the most comfortable way. But again, you won't be able to experience so much because you won't meet so many locals. It's much less adventure. So, but it's much safer for sure if you have someone who's watching after you, because of the heat, animals, and and if you have injury in the distance. But heat and animals, basically heat is the most dangerous thing here. As I mentioned in the other episode, so just watch the other video because this is the detailed analysis of the dangers here. Okay, so that was the general traveling here. And now the wind is blowing from west, mainly. Sometimes slightly deviated from the south. And the south here is basically the pole. So the air is colder coming from the south. So it's more unstable, much better for flying. If it's coming from the north, then it's a slightly warmer air, and then it's worse for flying or even not flyable at all. So basically the best flights are where you have the wind from west, south, west. And this is actually, as you see here, all those points are takeoffs basically. They are not all of the takeoffs that are here because there are some more, but there are the main kind of like. So now let's move from right to left. I just mentioned that actually because some people say Brazil, you cannot do Volbiv. So just to tell you, you can. I did. It's very nice. because the biggest distance between the two takes off here is almost 200 kilometers. This is the biggest one, and between all the others is less distance. So, for example, we mentioned here are 125. So, and take into account that you have 30 kilometers wind pushing you in this direction, 120 kilometers is nothing. So basically, you don't even have to advance. You just circle in place, and wind will blow you, kind of like 120 kilometers in a day. So yeah, so this is something that you can perfectly do. You can perfectly start in Tasima and fly to the jungle, and no problem with your Volbiv equipment. And this is actually going through all of these different takeoffs. So what I'm gonna do now is I will tell you how it works, all the different takeoffs. So Tasima, as you see, it's an edge. Some people are taking off. There's actually like organized, not all the year, but there are moments where there's organized paragliding here. What they do is they go to Cachorinia, what's the name of this anyway? And somewhere here, actually, they will take off on the winch tow. So you take off on the winch tow, I believe here, if I remember correctly, not 100% sure. And then on the flat, or maybe here, you take off on the winch, and then you go to the edge, and then you fly from the edge. But and they basically stay here in Tasima. There's like a kind of like a hotel that's that where many paragliding pilots come. So you may stay in this hotel if you like. This hotel is Posada Volibra. Volibra in Portuguese means free flight. So this is the Posada. I haven't stayed there, so I cannot tell you how it is. But people are very friendly for sure. And very inviting. And if you like, you may also put your tent somewhere near. They are happy with this, but trick is it's noisy area. So it's very noisy in Brazil, like in even small towns. There's many motorcycles basically, so not so nice. But here in Tasima, you have a very nice delta and paragliding takeoff. It's a kind of like a cliff. So it's a big stone basically, and going into the cliff. You have a shelter here from the sun, very important. So even if there's too much wind, you can still survive one day here, or even if you have a lot of water, because there's no water around here. So you have a lot of water and some foods, you may survive even a few more days, because there is shadow. But there are wasps in these bushes. Don't ask me how I know. So you have to be careful about this. And yeah, and how you fly here, basically, there's also another takeoff around here, somewhere around here, maybe here. I don't actually know anymore. But this takeoff is not official one, and the guy who is having cows, so who actually is the owner of this area, is not happy with people taking off from here. So basically, yeah, don't go there. And this takeoff is perfectly nice, but the trick is it's little space, relatively flat, and then you have this, it's just a cliff basically going down. So you have to know what you're doing, and you have very little window actually to take off, because there is like sunrise 5:30 a.m. At 6 a.m. you already have like most of the days you already have like 20 kilometers wind, so it's a moment to take off and stay here on the edge. And in 6:30 there is so much wind, it's 35, 40, so it's too much wind actually to take off. So basically this is what happens. I mean, for paragliders, this moment where the deltas are taking off, and even later. But for paragliders, it's too much wind. So you actually take off here. Now we move again to you take off here, you stay here in the dynamics until somewhere around. No, the best thing is to say 8, because at 7 you're gonna already start getting thermals, and sometimes even 2 meters per second. But so actually you can take off, but still the bias is pretty low. And so you prefer, I would say you would prefer to stay until 8, because you really need to have some altitude, because then you get to the other ridge, or you may also fly on the other ridge, but it's maybe not so good as this one. But I think the problem here is that this area is a bit higher, so in order to clear this you have to be higher. Yeah, I would say the best thing would be like 1,200 meters, and this only happens after 8. And there are also wind turbines around here, a lot of them, so you also want to clear those wind turbines comfortably again, so you need to altitude for this. And then you have a pretty crazy flight. The longest flights in Brazil are from here, from Tacima. Very nice place. Okay, so now you fly here from Tacima. You have to take into account that there is an area around here where there's very little place to land. Pretty limited, this mountain, with the landing spots. So you really have to be careful not to fly too much to the north and to stay here south. This is also important because the main bus routes actually is Correios Nuevos is the big one, big station, and the buses are going like here, Tangara. So you wanna stay close to this road, so that in the case you do a short flight, you can get back easily. Actually, my experience is that oftentimes you're gonna land somewhere here, so you have to get Serra de Bento by hitchhiking, and then hitchhiking Pacifica, and then hitchhiking to Tacima, or by bus. But hitchhiking works really nicely, and then hitchhiking again or walking up here. So this is it. The other takeoff is, and if you do a nice flight, if you do like 300 kilometers flight, then you actually get behind, 300 kilometers is behind Patu. So if you do 250 kilometers, I believe, then 220, then you land in Patu. And Patu is another big takeoff. And this is 220 is nothing special here. But if you don't, then you have another also opportunity here, Paragliding. Getting here is basically I did it by hitchhiking. So this is my experience with Paragliding. You get to Paragliding, the city, and then you can take taxi, moto taxi actually, because moto taxi will be able to bring you up. It's not even marked here. You see those trails. This is actually the trick. That Google Maps doesn't work. I forgot to do safety. You really have to have nice offline maps, because you don't have internet connection everywhere. Yes, I forgot. I have to do errata. But anyway, if you look on the... Oh no, you see it here. This is a little part of the road. And the second part is... So this is the takeoff, and this is actually the road here. The trail. So the moto taxi will let you somewhere here basically, because then starting from this point, there is even motorcycle won't make it. So with 2 people on it. So so this is where you have to walk. Once you are here, you have a shelter from the sun, and there is even electricity, if I remember correctly, here, but no water. So you have to bring your water with you. And the takeoff is pretty large, and again it's going pretty steeply, so yeah, but you have to really take off here. But it's easy takeoff actually, I would say. The problem here is with the wind. So you have a lake here, so the thermals are kind of like a bit limited. The more thermals are actually on the other side. So what happens is that early in the morning there is no wind. Then around 10, 11, there is enough wind, thermal wind from this side to take off. And then after this, the wind turns, and actually it starts to blow from the other side. So you cannot take off anymore after this. So this is a bit particular. I mean, I didn't spend here so much time actually. I've been here maybe 3 days. I took off here maybe 3 times. But I spent also some other days observing, waiting for the wind until it was too late. So this was actually a bit like my experience from here. And then from Paes, you may actually have a nice flight. But you take off a little bit later, so it's not so crazy flying like the other places here. Because here you really fly with the front of the air moving from the sea, so it's pretty easy actually, because there are really nice thermals everywhere. Here it's not so easy, but it's doable. Another place is Patu. Patu is actually the paragliding city, kind of like. That was before, that was one of the main takeoffs where people from all around the world were coming here. It was a huge thing. They have like hotels dedicated just to paragliding. The Posada Volbiv, this is a free flight hotel, kind of like. This has a really nice owner. When I arrived actually to Patu in the night, hitchhiking with my tent, what my experience was, I put my tent somewhere around here in the night, in some of those fields here, and actually there is a firefighting station somewhere around here, and and it was guarded actually in the night by a person, and this guy seen me actually, like that I disappeared somewhere, so he went after me and he found my tent, and then he contacted the owner of Posada Volbiv, and they actually brought me. Really, they dispatched a motorcycle to bring me back here, and I had like I was actually guest in this Posada for, I think, for a week or even more before I managed to fly away from Patu. So again, extremely nice people, and very helpful and caring. So if you stay in Posada, you may stay on the top. This is the place where you have like showers and toilets and civilization, kind of like, if you stay here, and the really nice people around, many pilots also. Although with the pilots, you meet them in the morning and then they fly different places, and then they come sometimes late in the night if they did nice flights. So this is maybe a little bit limited, but still it's a place to socialize for sure. And otherwise, if you go more for a takeoff, so the takeoff is here. You have no water, but you have a shelter. There is a half-finished there is a half-finished building around here, so it provides a shelter, but again, no water. The nearest water is a few kilometers here, Santuario Nossa Senhora. Actually, this is a place where you can kind of also sleep. You may buy like coconuts, so some foods also, but it's very expensive here. And you have toilets. Those are toilets. So if I remember correctly, you may also take shower here. So this is the other point of civilization closer to the takeoff. And Patu on its own, it's a very early takeoff if you want to go for long flights with strong winds, because similar like Tasima. So early in the morning, a little wind, then the wind picks up, and I believe something around 6:30, it's already very strong, and then it gets stronger, and later after 10 or 9, 10, it's getting quicker again. But if you really want to go for long flights and you want to take off early and before when the wind is picking up. So be there at 6, I would say, or 6:30. People come actually there from Posada, Volibre. So right. So from this hotel here, it's very easy to arrange. They will help you to either there are many people going up with their own rented cars, so you may go with them, or you may take a taxi. They will actually, the guys will call for a taxi, so you may go by taxi, or sometimes the owner will take you just because he's a nice guy. And so this is how you get here. And then the takeoff is large, but the problem with the takeoff here, you have the spot which is protected by it's a huge stone, which is protected by the wind. You can prepare your wing if there is a lot of wind. But then you get here, it's pretty large, but this is concrete. So actually what I mentioned already, like this is important, the Tasima is basically like a stone with very sharp edges. So very easy to cut lines, very easy to destroy your wing so you have to be really good with taking off efficiently. You just prepare your wing, there's no moving around, it's just preparing, you put it in the air and you take off. Because otherwise you will just rub your wing against the stone and you will rub holes. I'm not so good, I wasn't good enough to take off so efficiently with the strong wind here, and actually here and other places, and I rubbed like 20 holes in the outer skin of my glider. It's also important that you check your glider if you fly from place like this, because you don't see those holes from the inside. But yeah, I was pretty surprised to find out. I found like 20 holes at once, so I haven't seen them before. Pareja is more or less like dirt, so it's not so damaging to the wing. But the Patu this is really bad, because what they did is actually they put this has to be a really old photo here, because what it is today is concrete. So this is actually concrete surface painted green, but it's still concrete and it's extremely abrasive. So if you move your wing left and right, you destroy it. On the days where there are many pilots in the season, the guys from the Posada, they will come, and from the hotel they will come and they will put some tarps, actually like huge tarps on the place where you put your wings to actually protect your wing from this. They are so nice. But if you are on another days when they are not there, then it's destroying your wing. Or if you are not able to precisely take off from the tarp and the strong wind starts to move your wing all around the place, it's gonna destroy your wing in no time. So my general advice is you don't take a nice wing here. You just take a bit older wing that can get destroyed, because it's gonna get destroyed by the stones in those places, but also it's gonna get destroyed by the dirt mixed with the sun. The sun is so strong. So otherwise you take off here early before the wind picks up. You stay here, and then sometime later the thermals will start, and then you take off again. You search those thermals were in the front, not here on the ridge, were in the front, so that with the wind where actually you get in the thermals and you get displaced, you get high enough so that you can clear this mountain well away from the lee, because this is a very strong lee when the wind is strong. And don't ask me how I know. You see another video on this channel. And if you wanna avoid a little bit this lee, then you may go to the side and fly on this side away. But there's another mountain here, so this small Venturi here. I also tried this low, but it's also a little bit turbulent if you're too low. But for sure it's better than going way here low. So you have this place, and coming out you will see actually there is this mountain here, Sierra Redonda. You fly here, so you have to clear this. You have to have at least if I remember correctly, 1,200 meters or AG over sea level. And then you quite comfortably come to this place, and then you get another thermal. The thermals actually are either from like the small mountains. So let's switch again. So either from the small mountains, so they are like everywhere else, they are how to say, like they are triggering thermals, but also lakes are perfect places for thermals. What happens is that the hot air is being moved by the wind on the ground, and once it goes over the lake is much colder, and then the buoyancy, and then the hot air becomes really buoyant over this cold air here, and then it's triggered on those um, upwind edges of the lakes, and then you will have very nice thermals. So those are basically, this is pretty easy for thermals. If we talk about thermals, there's another element, is that the thermals actually tend to be really nice when there's air from the seas coming, or early in the morning. And then around noon, 9 days, thermals gets much weaker, so it's very important that around noon you stay high. And then in the afternoon again, you have better thermals. Of course, depends on the day and many other things, but as a general rule. Okay, so assuming you did 220 to the Patu, and you took off from Patu, your next, so you actually, from Patu, basically how you fly, typically you go to the north, and then over this mountain, you don't cross the mountain, you go around the mountain, a little bit even to the front, behind the lake, and then back low to the Kishada. Which is here. I don't know why I thought it's a little bit to the north, because maybe I flew. Strange. Anyway, so you fly here to the northwest to Kishada, and Kishada, this is the cooled place, kind of like. So if you how to arrive to Kishada, I already mentioned. So you get by bus to Kishada city, and then you take taxi from Kishada. I was also hitchhiking here on this road, but I met actually many people who told me it's dangerous, this piece of road here. So that you know, there are a few places in Brazil where people told me explicitly that they are dangerous, like multiple people, and this road was mentioned as a dangerous place. So don't hang around on this road. Actually, better to take taxi. And yeah, no, I tend to walk sometimes, and hitchhike and walk, but apparently this is not the place to do this. And although there are many people coming here for nice side view and stuff like this, but just don't walk around here. And once you get to this is a very well developed place. I mean, you have no shower here, if I remember correctly, but you have water and toilets. And because this is a sanctuary, so basically, yeah. So, and you have also shadow. If you look actually on this, so what happens here is that you have the takeoff, you have here the shadow, you have Wi-Fi. This is really cool, and you have here, if you go, you have sanctuary, and the sanctuary has like two parts. There is this here in the front. There is this private part. They have toilets and even shower, but it's officially private, so you shouldn't go there. And there is the official part. So this is the parking. You can buy coconuts here, also pretty expensive, as all those sanctuaries. But in need, you can buy some foods. The priests here are pretty helpful and nice. So if you need a companion to talk, you may also find some priests. And in this area, you have toilets basically. And so this is a place where you can stay for a few days if there's bad weather, because there's water. And of course, food, either you buy it or you have it with you. The takeoff on its own It's so it's like a how you call it, like plastic grass, so artificial grass kind of like. It's pretty steep, so it's not so and here and flat here. So basically, if the wind is strong and you would like to go take off a little bit lower to get a little less wind, then the problem is that it's really flat, so you have actually significant risk of crashing here. Don't ask me how I know. And so then you wanna take from the middle. This is basically like the most, but then it's not so stable. You may slide a little bit. But the big advantage here is that there are many people around here, so there will be always people, almost always people helping you with this. Or if there's a bit less wind, then you can take from the top. But there's of course most of the wind here. They have flat area, and you can also do it here. If there is also electricity here, so you have Wi-Fi, electricity, water. Actually, yeah, it's a very comfortable place to stay. Toilets. And regarding the showers, because I mentioned them, almost every gas station has a shower. You just go there and you ask for a shower, and they give you a shower. I forgot the name for the shower, but probably ducha, something like this. And so this is Kishada. And now you take off. So the wind here is strong in the morning, and then it gets a little less strong during the day. So actually, when the sun rises, it's already too strong. So you wait a little bit until it gets weaker. Sometimes it's AM, sometimes it's 9 AM, depending on the day. Then the big stone is here. So the nice thermals are here, and then you fly behind. And there are many options here, but the most classic option is you go behind, you go through this valley basically. So there is you will have some thermals here, and then basically on this ridge again. Wait, I switch. So you have flat place with many landing spots, kind of like. So you wanna go over here, over here, over here, and then I mean this depending of course on the wind direction, but the most typical way is and you go through here, and then you may go a little bit to the north, wherever there, but you wanna try to fly a bit more to the north. And this is there's another takeoff here. I never took it, but apparently it's pretty similar. It's less popular, but it's also there. There is Kishara Mobile. It is pretty popular takeoff too. I've never been there actually, but the guys told me that there is some turbulence because there's already like a mountain in front of it. So if you have a wind, it's a bit turbulent, so maybe not so good. And there's also a lot of water here. So yeah, Kishada definitely the most the nicest takeoff. The big advantage of Kishada is Kishada is a big university, it's a big city with a nice connection by bus to many places and basically to Fortaleza. So if you do like large flight, it's very easy to get back here. And this is the big advantage of Kishada. Also many people, many nice people, very friendly people, easy to make friends. And learn a lot about people, culture, and flying around here. The other places are there's at least one guy who's doing like a hike and fly here from other stones, and it's also very beautiful actually. Those actually because I skipped it a little bit, but from Patu this where was this? There is also like. No, from Patu here, no. But to Patu actually. This, if you go like from Tasima, those places here are really nice. This is flats. This mountain in general, it's flat, and then you have this mountain. It's pretty nice. Around Kishada, there are like huge stones. This is just it's crazy. It's flat with those stones all around the place, and it's very beautiful. So it's very nice place. Basically, flying from Patu to the Kishada, those stones here, like here, there, really nice, very impressive. So and now, so as I mentioned, to fly this direction. There are many landing spots here, no problem, but if you don't get out here high enough, then this is a pretty shitty lee. I landed once here and it was very turbulent. And the wind wasn't so strong, I think it was 35 kilometers per hour, but it was very turbulent here because you have the mountain in front of you. So, yeah, just take it into account. Again, the lee side here is no joke. And as in Patu. And another place, I mean, from here, if you do nice flight, you fly 300 kilometers, so you fly actually to the jungle, basically, almost. Because the jungle starts, Esperantina, somewhere here, starts the jungle. You can actually see it. Yeah, you can see this. This is, here is all desert. This is the ridge, Changhua, green. Then again a little bit desert, and then it starts with the jungle. So actually, if you fly 270, which is not uncommon, you get the jungle. Piri piri. Yeah, so you may do a really nice flight from here already, and it's very easy to get back because in Piri Piri you have a bus that takes you to Sobral, and from Sobral you switch to Fortaleza, and from Fortaleza you switch to Quixada. Very easy. Easily doable in one day if you manage to get to Piri Piri in the morning. So, if you don't, then you have the area with many takeoffs here. So, those to be mentioned already. The other one is Algodoes. I haven't taken off from here actually. And the reason why is I was following this trail, but this is an old trail. It doesn't work because it's all full of vegetation, so impossible to pass. There is a kind of like a club in this village. Where's the village? In this village, in Algodoes, somewhere in this row, one of those houses, there is a pilot living here who flies there, and who in theory could guide you. I mean, he was supposed to guide me, but at the end of the day we didn't make it, so not 100% sure about reliability of the pilot, but anyway, he may explain you the way, and the way is somehow here. It's like a small train in the forest, or here. I'm not sure which one is this, but either this or this one leads you to the takeoff, and they take from this takeoff on the regular basis, so it works. But yeah, but I don't know this one. And you see on the photo, there are many people here, but I didn't manage to go there. I was here hiking, but I was going this road, and this is impossible. There's just an abandoned road with full of vegetation. Where you make like in 1 hour you do 100 meters, and this is again the danger if you land far away from any road. You do 100 meters in 1 hour if you're lucky, and your skin is gonna be, you will be bleeding basically, so yeah, it's not fun. And another takeoff in this area, so if we go back a little bit. So that was the Aldoares, and here you have like Madalena. So Madalena takeoff is, oh, another danger I forgot. If you see like a huge surface flat with green, don't land there because this is water and covered by some plants. And this is what you have here in Madalena. It looks really nicely, but yeah, don't do this, of course. Don't land in the water. So it's 70 kilometers, so this is actually a short flight. Should be able to get here anyway. So to Madalena you actually get by hitchhiking. So from this road, you take this road here, and then the people are so nice here that probably they will take you somewhere to sleep. And if don't, then there is this road that is this road you cannot do by motorcycle, if I remember correctly. Yeah, too poor quality. Just few. That's the beginning you can do, but later on you have to walk. So there's too poor quality even for a motorcycle on two people. The takeoff on its own is very small. I would say this is a shitty takeoff. What happens here is that they fly a lot here in December. So if you come before here, it's been almost 1 year that no one took off, and that's why the road is shitty. Before flying here, because they do like championships, like the local guys here from this takeoff for some reason, and when they do the championships, they actually then make the road nice, so that they actually come by car, no problem. Then it's much easier to take off. But if you're here like in the dry season, October, November, then yeah, it's not so big actually, the part where you can take off, and it's shitty takeoff because here it's very flat. It's small, very flat, and here it's steep. So, and it's also exposed to the wind, so you get a lot of wind here. And what happens is that it's a very windy place, but due to this nick, like this 90 almost degree angle between where you are and the cliff, you are in a lee basically here on the takeoff with a stronger wind. Yeah, they are basically in the lee. So what happens? You have no wind, very little wind, and it's very difficult actually to put the wing over your head because there's so little space here. And once you put the wing over your head, your wing is in 40 kilometers per hour wind. And actually, that's my experience. So it's a shitty takeoff, and I've been actually here 2 times, if I remember correctly, and yeah, and I do not recommend this in this dry season. But if you have to take off, if you are able to take off and you are a bit lucky and stuff, and then it's a nice flight, because just behind there you have another mountain. Switching. So here you have pretty nice mountain, and actually you fly over the Monsignor Tabosa here, pretty high. If you are pretty high here, this is pretty rewarding because it's pretty beautiful and nice. But if you are pretty low, yeah, this is complicated because as you see, there's a lot of mountain, a lot of lee side, a lot of venturi here. So it's this area here is complicated. Although it's very nice, beautiful, and strong thermals, but that's complicated. But if you manage to fly over here, then again you have like a huge area here, flat, and you get to the ridge. What happens on the ridge, I explain a bit later, or I can explain actually now. So what happens is that the ridge is, the ridge is actually doing the venturi, because it's definitely decreasing the space of air between the ground and the bases where actually the wind is flowing, kind of like blowing. So in the ridge here is few hundred meters high. I don't really remember. So this is 800 meters here and 200 meters here. So you have 600 meters of this ridge. And what happens here is you arrive here, and basically the wind you have, let's say you have 30 kilometers wind. So just behind the ridge you're gonna have 40, 45. So you get kind of like kicked, you get accelerated. It's pretty magical. If you are nice and high, it's pretty nice. If you are low, maybe pretty scary. Because yeah, you get a lot of wind. If you had to land here for any reason on the ridge, yeah, then it's gonna be a lot of wind. So this is the secret of the ridge. And the ridge actually looks a little bit like a different world. It's like a frontier between like the desert and this jungle, kind of like a little bit jungle here. It's very, very, very rewarding to fly it here. It's very beautiful. So, let's say you took off from Madalena, and the next, and you don't really want to land here. I don't recommend that you land anywhere here, because this would be really bad. A lot of wind, strong thermals, and a lot of lee side, very limited options to land actually safely here. So don't do this. But in case you would have to, then another takeoff is Monsenor Tabosa. Monsenor Tabosa is a very nice takeoff. It's a challenging one. Flying here is challenging, but the takeoff on its own is very nice. So you have Monsenor Tabosa, this place here. You may get here by actually hitchhiking, because there is no bus coming from this direction. There is bus coming from Quixada, not from Quixada, but from Madalena actually. Buaviachen. There is a bus coming here, but not to the other side for some reason. So, Monsenor Tabosa, you get here probably by hitchhiking, and then you take taxi, moto taxi, or you do hitchhiking too. But actually, the problem is that all of the people, they live here, they work here. So in the morning, where you go getting here, actually, they are all traveling opposite direction. No one is coming back. And if you come in the evening, there's a lot of traffic, so you can easily get someone to pick you up. But then you sleep here up there, which is actually not a problem. But my experience is actually the locals don't let you, because they are too afraid from snakes. So they won't let you sleep here because of the snakes. That was my experience actually. They told me they're not going to let me go. So I slept in the village here. And then they brought me actually to the takeoff. So takeoff is accessible. You may get a moto taxi or a local will bring you actually to the takeoff. Takeoff is really nice. Maybe I do a nice photo with a nice movie with all of the photos and stuff, but just to let you know. It's pretty nice, and the most important thing is it's lower. It's pretty protected from the wind. So even if you have like a stronger wind here, on the takeoff here there's gonna be less wind, but just enough to take off. So it's a really nice takeoff. Comparing to all of the other takeoffs, this is probably the best one. It's not big, but and there are also some bushes left and right, so you have to be precise. But it's very easy. I mean, it's not so easy, but it's one of the easiest one actually. It's from the point of view that's protected from the wind. So you take off here, and basically you try to get to the edge again, depending on the wind direction, of course. But then if you have west, then this edge is gonna be thermally, and then depending if you have like actually southeast, which is the best weather, then you won't be able to stay on the edge, and you will have to stay somewhere around here, and then you will have to fly behind. The big problem here is that it's pretty uneven here. There is also a lot of this forest without leaves, where you cannot really land safely. I mean, probably it would be safe, but it wouldn't be comfortable landing like in the low trees like this. And there are just I think 2 or 3 fields where you can actually land. If you have more wind, you're gonna be pushed here. And what happens here is this, again, here you have like, I think 200 or 300 meters altitude difference. It's going down here. And that's like a huge leap, basically. What do you have here? It's altitude. It's 300 meters. And here you have probably something around 800 meters. Yeah. So basically you have like few hundred meters, 700 meters, yeah. So you have 400 or 500 meters actually between this place and here. So actually you are in the lee, and the wind is being like, here is a Venturi, mountain Venturi here, a lot of wind where you are basically, and so it's gonna push you here into this lee, kind of like. So there are some thermals here and there, but the optics of this place is pretty scary, where there is a lot of wind and strong thermals. And if you're high enough, no problem, you will clear it and fly here and continue. But if you are low, then this is a pretty scary place here. At least I was scared. Maybe other people aren't. But from all of the places, this is the most tricky for sure. This valley here. Because here it's difficult to land. Here you can land actually on the top. There's a small place where you can land. If you decide to go somewhere here, if you really want to stay in the air and not go to land, you have to go somewhere here, and then you count on the thermals there. But if not, then here very limited places to land, and here you're already in the lee of this shit. It's just scary to think even about going here. If you don't find a thermal here you cannot land. So either land here on the top straight, but if you wanna stay in the air, it's tricky. It's very tricky, even though this is a nice takeoff, a nice place actually in general. But it's a tricky place the initial part of the flight is tricky here. And then from Monsignor Tabosa, you get. So my flight actually, I did Monsignor Tabosa, my longest, I did almost 300 kilometers, and I land just in front of the Rio Parnaíba. Here. Rio Parnaíba is where I landed somewhere Esperantina, somewhere here. 290 kilometers I did. And this is jungle. Very few places actually to land. And very tricky. You have to really look in front of you. And And in the mountain, in the Rio Parnaíba, Hio actually, this is how they pronounce it. In Rio Parnaíba river, there are piranhas. So this is the first moment actually where you start with piranhas. Now you have, before you get there, you have the ridge. The ridge is the most fascinating probably place of all of those. And it's also the easiest to fly. Although it's very difficult to do like cross country from the ridge. Along cross country probably impossible. For the reason that actually what happens here is here you have so the ridge is, as I said, it's accelerating the wind. So in the morning there's just no way you take off here. It's too much wind. I spent like 1 week probably, or even more than 1 week, trying to take off here from different places, because I was different takes off. Trying to take off here in the morning is impossible. So it only starts around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. where the wind gets a bit weaker on some days, not all of days, but when the meteor wind is not so strong, then those are basically, this is when you around noon, 1 p.m. This is where the wind is weak enough so that you can take off. And and then you have those different takes off. This one actually I don't think I know. I didn't took off here, if I remember correctly. Here you have Urubu Eco Park. This is like a resort where they have a takeoff. Where I was there actually was closed, so I don't know so much about the resort, but you have toilets, water, and there are restaurants and stuff if they are open. I was early in the morning, maybe that's why it was closed. You get here basically by walking, because it's difficult. Maybe from here you can take a taxi, but I didn't get here. I was hitchhiking actually, and then walking here. Then you have the takeoff here. Ipu. No, what's the name of this takeoff? San Benedetto. Sao Benedetta is the name. There are actually two takeoffs. One is both are easy. This one is a bit bigger. but there is nothing. The shadow is only somewhere here in the bushes. No water, nothing here. On the other side, this is actually a club. So they have like a club here for taking off. So you have shadow, you have electricity. There is also a toilet, but there is no water. And when I was here, there was also a guy building a house here, but he didn't have water neither at that time he was building it. So this is a little bit the thing, but the takeoff are pretty nice. Both of them. This is a little bit smaller, so not so extremely easy, but not also not difficult. And many people actually fly here on the weekends, like local guys. And this one is much easier. And then what you do is you fly here on the edge basically, and if you find a thermal, then you may climb a little bit and fly behind. But since it's already in the afternoon, and you don't fly enough, or at least the days where I was there, you don't fly high enough to make like a nice flight behind. So that's why, basically taking off late is the reason why you cannot do like a nice long flights here, because early there's not too much wind. And the big highlight actually of this place is this. This is crazy. Sitio di Bosco. Sitio di Bosco is like a resort, like a holiday inn, kind of like, built by a guy who flies paragliders. So it's built around the takeoff place. There is around here there is like a stand where there is always a tandem pilot, and the guys are coming here for tandem flights. This guy is really nice. I don't know if there are many of them, but when I was there was just one. Always the same, and he's extremely nice. He's proactively guiding you in this area, telling you where the wind is good, when it's not so good. Taking care of your safety basically, and explaining you everything. So this is the easy thing. But the simple thing is that you take off here, and you can fly around here. There is it's a pretty beautiful place. The wind is blowing also from the west mainly, and it's strong, so it's difficult to get here against the wind. Actually, I didn't manage like this. I tried. What I managed to do is I managed to get really high, fly a little bit to the front, in this direction, and from here get back to the edge. This is the way how I did it. But flying here on the edge is difficult. Actually, it's easy to fly from San Benedetto here over the edge to Sitio di Bosco. This is easy doable, and you may even land on top land here behind Sitio di Bosco. There is a lot of place to top land. So this is something that I did, and this is pretty easy. But Sitio di Bosco again, you cannot take early in the morning, only afternoon, because it's just too much wind. Only in the afternoon, so you won't be able to do like large flights from here, unfortunately. And the other thing is, of course, so you have everything here. You have first. You have the owner who's extremely friendly. He has a special offer for paragliding pilots. You can put your tent here for free, and they have like a huge place where you can put your tent. This is all for free. The only thing that you pay here is the consumption. So actually, you have toilets, you have showers for free, and you have all-you-can-eat breakfast, basically. Around here, it's something like, I don't know how much was it. Maybe I don't know anymore. Maybe I don't know. Maybe €5, something like this. Or maybe a little bit more. But it's pretty nice breakfast. I mean, it's all very sweet, but still pretty nice. So definitely a nice place to chill out. A lot of shadow, colder than anywhere else. pretty nice. So basically, you can also have beers and stuff because they have everything here. There are no discos, but yeah, but you can have you have a bar, restaurant, and yeah, you have everything you need actually here, and it's pretty much colder and nice wind, much better than below. So actually, what I did is I spent here a few days of waiting for the wind a little bit because the days where I was there it was very windy, so I had to wait for that. But also that was when I actually kind of like recovered from all the heat that I experienced down there because this area is just crazy hot. So Sitio di Bosco is. This is the highlight for easy flying around here, for sure, and safest flying, for sure. Also, there's the landing spot is just front, so you can land here next to the road. So you can land here, or if you just want to soar on the edge, or if you want to fly somewhere more further, there are enough landing spots around here. And this is actually the last. I mean, there's one more takeoff, but I haven't been there, so I don't know how it works. And this is actually the last takeoff for many 100 kilometers. I think the next one is something like 500 kilometers in that direction. For some reason, the reason maybe that's flat and there's a jungle. So yeah. So that was the short, maybe not so short, it was 1.5 hour guide to paragliding in all of those white places in the northeast Brazil. I can only recommend you to do this, but please watch the other video I did about the safety here, because this place is not for beginners. I mean, Sitio di Bosco is also not for beginners, but it's maybe like for mid-advanced pilots, because in Sitio di Bosco you have this tandem pilot that will be able to coach you about the weather. And you will be soaring here, but still while soaring here you will get very strong thermals from time to time, and so you will get a lot of turbulence. So you have to be like good with SIV, and also your wing should also be not so slow for sure. So maybe high B at least. Yeah, and then you can actually pretty safely fly here the ridge, I would say. I mean, Sitio di Bosco and maybe also other places, San Benedetto. But also the trick is that, yeah, what happens if you get more wind from time to time? There's also this danger. Although the locals, they are flying here. The local beginner pilots are flying here. Actually, there are people flying here really like beginners, and it's pretty crazy because the thermals are strong. So, yeah, that would be it. I hope I didn't forget anything. And then maybe I do one more about water, shower, eat food, where do you get, how do you get, what to take. This may be the other episode, the last one. So, see you watching another video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all the stuff.